Hey guys, your VO2 max, the maximal volume of oxygen your body can use, is a good indication of cardiovascular fitness and a strong predictor of longevity. A real VO2 max test involves exercising to failure while wearing a mask. There are also submaximal tests relying on a combination of performance and heart rate to predict your maximal score. This video is about one of the maximal tests, the 2000 meter row. For the test, set yourself up on an indoor rowing machine and time how long it takes you to row 2000 meters. Most machines will allow you to preset the distance, and some might display your pace, distance covered, and even an estimated finish time as you row. Since this is a maximal test, it requires a thorough warm-up. I would suggest a minimum of 10 minutes if you're serious about performing your best, including around 500 meters of controlled rowing. For the actual test, you'll want to consider the damper setting, which is the slider which controls how much air gets into the wheel and therefore how much resistance there is per stroke. Most users find a damper setting between 3 and 5 leads to the fastest times. The original formula for predicting VO2 max was based on 2000 meter rowing time, sex, weight, and rowing experience. Highly trained is someone who has rowed multiple times per week for several years with the goal of improving their times. If you have little or no experience on a rowing machine, this test may not be for you. Since rowing is a very coordinated movement, rather than your fitness being the limiting factor, your technique will cost you valuable time, leading to a lower predicted VO2 max. In general, it's best to test your VO2 max with the training modality you have the most experience with. There are estimated VO2 max tests involving running or cycling that may be more suited for you. Going back to the formulas, the highly trained cohort is split into 2 different weight categories, meaning 6 different categorizations for predicting VO2 max. If you don't want to use the formula, the Concept 2 website has a 2000 meter row VO2 max calculator. I've also generated some graphs to demonstrate the difference that body weight and rowing time can make. So here's women ranging from 50 to 80 kilos for rowing times between 7 and 10 minutes. Since the units of VO2 max are per kilogram, if 2 women row the exact same 2000 meter time, the one who weighs less will have a higher estimated VO2 max. On average, an improvement of 10 seconds is worth between 2 and 3 units of VO2 max. For men, I've used a higher average weight and faster times, and the rough rule of 2 to 3 units of VO2 max per 10-second time difference still holds. An average VO2 max for younger men is between 40 and 45, so depending on their weight, the average male under the age of 35 should be capable of rowing between 8 and 9 minutes for 2000 meters. Finally, I should mention motivation. Since this is a maximal test, you really have to be in the right mindset to get an accurate prediction of your VO2 max. I'll show you a brief clip, which is the last few meters of my fastest ever 2000 meter time, which I can honestly say is one of the most physically tiring things I've ever done. I spent several minutes on the floor afterwards. Contrast that with my wife, who agreed to do the test a few years ago, but had no real motivation to do so or prior rowing experience. Her time was around 9 minutes and 30, giving her an estimated VO2 max of 21.8. That's around the 10th percentile for her age, whereas other tests indicated a VO2 max around 35, meaning the 2000 meter row really isn't a suitable test for her. Now, if you have the motivation and some level of experience, you may still be wondering what exact pace you should go. My suggestion is to get an estimated VO2 max either from a submaximal test or maybe even a wearable. Combine that with your weight in kilograms and produce a predicted time using the following formulas. Using myself as an example, my Oura Ring gave me an estimated VO2 max of 54. At a weight of 70 kilos, this gives me 7.69 minutes, which is 7 minutes and 41 seconds, or roughly 1 minute 55 per 500 meters. I say that because per 500 meters is a common way for rowing machines to display your pace. When you do the test, aim for an even split, meaning you try to hold the same pace for the entire duration of the row, but allowing a little flexibility early on to go a bit faster or slower than your target time based on how you feel. You may find that you have to increase your stroke rate in the final 500 meters to maintain the same pace. And one final tip is to start your test with 4 hard strokes to get you up to speed quickly before settling into race pace. As this is an exercise test, it comes with a word of caution. For certain individuals, exercise testing may not be suitable. This is particularly true for maximal tests like this because you are putting your body under a lot of physical strain, potentially aggravating any pre-existing health conditions. anyone with any cardiovascular conditions, high blood pressure, orthopedic issues, severe respiratory conditions like asthma, anyone currently pregnant or experiencing any cold or flu symptoms at the time of the test should be especially careful. More generally, it's worth speaking to your doctor if you are in any doubt whether this protocol is safe for you to do. Once you complete the test, you'll probably want to know what your VO2 max score means. Here is the normative data for VO2 max by age and sex. This is just one data set, so it shouldn't be treated as the single source of truth. You can see it moves a lot by age, so a score of 50 is above average for a young man, but by the time he's retirement age, he'd do well to have a VO2 max above 30. A few reference points from the literature: a VO2 max of 25 would be roughly what you'd need to walk up a steep hill, and 35 would be jogging at 6 miles an hour, which is slightly faster than a brisk walk. There is a very well established decline in VO2 max with age, and that happens regardless of fitness level. The difference is that the fitter individual will remain at a higher level relative to the unfit individual as they both age. While this test is very intense, it would help to test yourself every year and keep track of your changes over time. If you train regularly with an indoor rower, you might also be able to gauge how you might perform in this test based on the progression of your training times at distances like repeat 500s. People typically lose 1% of their VO2 max per year beyond the age of 30, so even if you maintain your current activity levels, you will see a decline with age. However, VO2 max is very much trainable if you're willing to put in the hours. This is particularly true if you don't currently exercise, which would put you at increased risk as you approach 65 or older. I turned 30 in 2017, which is when the literature would suggest I would start to see a decline. By increasing the amount of exercise I do, I've been able to reverse the trend, meaning last year I was fitter at age 36 than I was at 26. Thanks for watching.